When he removed the cyst, he removed together with my ovary and the fallopian tube. There are doctors who don't know how to remove it, I think so. So or there are others that remove and they even sell. So this one removed my right ovary, right fallopian tube, and they lied to me. They did not tell me the truth.
Good evening and praise the name of the Lord. Always excited to bring to you the Gorgeous Woman Show. It's the show that everybody should watch because you don't watch this show and remain the same. You feel inspired. You feel like if you are giving up, it's like I'm not the only one that have been through some stuff, and God has a way of encouraging you through it. And I always, appreciate every guest that has come to share their story with us. And as always, we have a special guest here. Her name is Irene Wambua. My goodness, she's gone through it all, and in spite of all her losses, she's still here to encourage somebody and to tell them it's not over yet. So join me and let your friends know that we are here. So karibu sana Irene.
Asante.
Yeah, so kindly tell us about Irene ni nani, amezaliwa wapi, her relationships, ameolewa, kona watoto, ana familia, all that.
Irene ametoka Ukambani. My name suggests Irene Wambua. Imetoka kwa family inapenda Mungu, imeokoka. I have my mom and my dad, and I am from a family of 7 siblings.
7 siblings,
yes,
wow.
We all love God.
Yes.
Actually, one of my sisters is married to a pastor.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you are which born?
I'm the 7th born.
So when the last born?
Actually, kuna moja alipass in between. We were supposed to be 8.
Okay.
So there is an 8th born. Me, I was the 7th born. So we have our last born.
Aliaga ukiwa how old?
I was a small child.
So hukumjua?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So ulienda shule wapi?
Nilienda shule huko tu home kwetu. Primary nikamaliza, secondary nikamaliza, and then after kumaliza shule, si unajua vile tunasumbuanga wazazi nyumbani, you just want to go out there, maybe uende college, ama uende tu ku-explore. So I really wanted to go to Nairobi. So that's when I actually ni kama nilitoroka because begged my parents to let me go, and then I went and I started doing small jobs. Yeah.
So when you ran away to Nairobi, where did you go? What's your first landing place?
I went to my cousin's place, and now I communicated to my mom. I told them I'm looking for a job. She had no problem.
Ni wapi? Where did you start in Nairobi?
In pipeline.
No, pipeline.
Yeah. I was selling water, the bottled water.
Ile maji ya kukunywa.
Yeah, so I go to shops. Hi, nauza maji. At one point I told someone, ninauza maji, akaniuliza kwa hivyo. That is the day I stopped selling the water.
Ati kwa hivyo?
Yeah. I was still with them. I'm selling water.
Ulimpata on a bad day?
Bad mood. Na nisa nikasikia nimechoka na hiyo nikaacha. So
alikuwa mean
sana, alifanya nisikie vibaya, and I really needed to work to get money
and to stay in Nairobi.
Yeah. So I gave up on that, and now I went to another place to look for another job. So when I was in that other place, I met a very sweet, charming man, and I immediately fell in love.
Yes. Wow, green from Mukambani, and here you come struggling to sell water, then fall in love.
Exactly.
That was so sweet.
Yeah, it was. So I fell in love, and I was stubborn to this man. I really needed him to marry me, and after a lot of pushing and all that, because he also came to love me very much, we went home to my parents for a very minor introduction. Then we came back. Now at this time, I started living with him. Of course, it's not good.
Okay, so currently are you still married or?
No, I'm not married.
So you're like separated?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me more about your siblings. How many brothers, how many sisters?
We are we are 7 sisters.
Okay.
And my bro is late.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was the firstborn or which one?
I think the 4th, something
For
like
them.
that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So how was your relationship with you growing up with your sister? Was it okay or?
It was very nice. It
Really?
was okay. Actually my problem started when I got married. That is when now I faced the real world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
And on that real world, you know, we are going to take a break and then come back and hear the rest of the story of our wonderful Irene. See you after the break. So welcome back, our viewer. We are having a wonderful guest. Her name is Irene, and I pray that you stay put and just get to hear what God has done to her this far. Okay, so Irene, that's when you knew how people are.
Yes.
So describe to us your husband then that married you. What attracted you to him?
Number 1, he was saved.
Alikuwa ndugu kanisani.
Yeah, he was a keyboardist, in fact.
Keyboardist?
Yeah.
We mnaimba naye?
No, he was the one who was playing the keyboard. At that time, we were not going to the same church. No, I met him going to a different, so I was going to a different church. But now we started living together as husband and wife.
Without a wedding?
Yeah, but at this time I was pushing him to marry me at least through the traditional way. So he agreed and we went to see his parents. He is from a single parent. So we went and I saw the mom. He introduced me to the mom. And now we started planning on how now to make it formal. So at this time we are still living together. So when now you live with a man and you love that man, what next? You want a baby. So now I try now to start, I want to get pregnant for this man so that now I can keep him. So the first year went down, I was not getting pregnant. The second year, I was not getting pregnant. And now I'm trying to force him now to marry me through the right way. But he is also very keen because he is also noticing I'm not getting pregnant. So one day I waited for him to go to work and I decided to go to the hospital because I was having painful menses.
So this time, are you working? Did you go to college or?
I was doing these minor jobs. Maybe you work in someone's shop, something like that. I had not yet gone to college. Yeah, because of marriage, it had trapped me. So now, when I went to the hospital, I explained to the doctor, I'm having painful periods. What is the way forward? He told me to have an ultrasound scan. So when I went and did that scan, it revealed that I had a mass inside my uterus. I went back to the doctor and I showed him the results. So he told me, you have a 3-centimeter mass, and that is what is causing you painful periods. So I asked the doctor, so how many centimeter mass do I need so that I can stop having painful periods? And the doctor told me, you are not supposed to have that mass at all. So he referred me to a gynecologist. Now when I saw the gyne, he told me that is a fibroid, but it can't make me not to conceive, but probably it's the one giving me painful menses.
So all this time you're doing it alone?
Yeah, I don't want to tell my husband.
Is he pressuring you to have a kid or?
No, he was not pressuring. He was a very nice man.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's me now who wants that kid so much. So the gynecologist told me I go for another scan called HSG scan. If you are trying to conceive, you know that scan. It's a very painful scan and very costly too. Now when I went for that scan, now it revealed another problem. Because the doctor said that fibroid is small, it can't make me fail to conceive. Now my fallopian tubes, both right and left, they were blocked with something called bilateral hydrosulfings, probably a liquid that had blocked my fallopian tubes. So when your tubes are blocked, you cannot conceive. Yeah. When I went back to the gyna, before I even went to the gyna, I had Googled everything. I already knew. I was just crying. And now at this time, I told my husband. But he encouraged me. He was saved. He told me I can still conceive. I trust in God and not to worry. But deep inside myself, I am worried. Now very worried. So when I went and saw the gyna, he told me, number one, there is no any surgery that is perfect enough to unblock your tubes. Number two, if we try anyway, if you really insist and we try, we only have the open cut surgery, and that can give you more problems. It can give you infection, and it can tamper with the tubes so that now they block even permanently. Because when you try to unblock your tubes, they block permanently once they heal. They are the size of spaghetti or something.
Ah, they are that small. Wow.
Yeah, very thin. Now I was shattered, and I told the gynecologist, I want that surgery. And I know my tubes won't be blocked. I just want that surgery. He pleaded with me. I told him, no, I want it.
So what was the other option you had?
There was no any other option.
Oh.
Yeah. So I started going for clinics. It was a public hospital. Now the day that I went in for admission, the doctors that were on duty that day came to my bed, and they looked at my report, and they looked at me and told me, Irene, yes, do you know you are very young? Yeah, I know. Now I need you to wake up and go back home. And now I'm asking the doctor why I've been coming for clinics and I'm set for this surgery. I want it. He said, if I take you to theater, I won't even touch that fibroid. Because if I tamper with that fibroid, chances of them coming back, it is already there. They will come back. Second, if I touch your fallopian tubes, they will not heal. It cannot happen. The only surgery that can unblock your tubes, it's through laparoscopy. And that one you just have to book from Kenyatta Hospital. And believe me, right now, it's booked up to 2021. That was then, because I was married for 10 years. So it was like until 2021.
And that was how long? That is 10 years ago.
No, it was around 22. I was married in 2010. So 2011, 2012, that is when I'm starting.
So anybody now wanting to go is 2032, like, wow.
Yeah, I was so down. And I really, now I called my husband and told him that. He said, that is God speaking. Wake up and come back home. You don't have to go for that surgery. He was also very much worried. So I went home. And that day, it was on a Sunday. I put on my TV and I saw this herbal clinic advertising about their medicine, which can unblock tubes and clear fibroids. I immediately called them and I started the journey of taking herbal medicines. Believe me, I took those meds for around 1 year. And in between, while I was taking them, they were very expensive. And my husband was supporting me get this medicine. So I went for another. Now, I even started having very normal menses. There was no pain. When I went for another test, the fibroid had disappeared. I was so happy. And the fallopian tubes had started clearing. In fact, my left had become a little bit patent. Patent is another word they call open. I was the happiest girl in the world. Even the gynecologist encouraged, hey, Irene, I can
whatever
see
you're using,
a baby is coming. And I asked the doctor, why are you not even, you don't want to even ask me what I did? And he said, no, once a miracle happens, you don't have to ask for that. Yeah, I'm happy for you. I went now and I tried now to conceive. Now this time my husband is still with me, supporting me. But now that 1 year is over. 2013, 2014. Wow, Irene is not getting pregnant.
So you didn't continue with the herbal medicine?
I continued for at least 1 year. Now I stopped because now I'm not even getting pregnant and I'm still taking this medicine. So now one time I went back to the guy and I told him, I'm not conceiving. What is the problem? He sent me for another scan. I have done a lot of scans. This one is called FSH, follicular size assessment, to test how big are your ovules. When I went, my biggest was 9 millimeter, the other one 6 millimeter, the left and the right. Now I asked the doctor, what does that mean? He said, for you to be pregnant, the biggest ovary needs to be at least 18 millimeter. Now I have 9 and 6. Go and try fertility pills called Clomid. I was given that prescription. You take each time every day for 6 months. Every time. This medicine has a lot of side effects. Number one, you become moody. It's just bad. But I was determined to get pregnant. What were the side effects? Like you get moody, sometimes you have back pains. It depends with people. People are different. I still did not get pregnant after 6 months. I was given another higher dose called letrozole, more expensive. I tried for 3 months. I started having pain again. I went to the hospital. I am done another scan. I'm being told, Irene, yeah, you have fibroids. And you have something called ovarian cyst. Remember, my fibroid had disappeared. Now I go back to the hospital. I'm being told I have 4 more fibroids. And my right ovary has something called a cyst, something that is just needs to be. And when it grows bigger, past 5 centimeter, it needs to be removed because it's so painful.
So what happened? There were more fibroids that grew in your womb?
Yeah, they came back in multiple. Now, when that cyst was measured, it was measuring 6 centimeter, and it's not supposed to be past 5. They did not let me go. I had to go in for surgery. That was my first surgery. But before then, my husband had started he had started to disappear from my life. I would not see him maybe for a week or 2, and I had come to realize he had already married another person, and he already had a kid, and even introduced them to his family. I did not know that. So when I discovered that, I could not even let him go because I still loved him, and I was hoping maybe something would happen and I conceive. And because he loved me, he told me, you see, I also needed to make sure maybe I'm not a problem. You see, he was also worried when I was not getting pregnant.
And the only way to know whether he was okay is by trying.
Yeah, but that gave me a lot of issues with the baby mama. She would call and tell me to pack and leave her husband alone. Now I started thinking of ways now to start living on my own. But in between, I was hospitalized. When I went for that surgery, it was my first surgery, and it was a very bad experience. It was supposed to be called laparoscopy surgery. No, there is no opening.
Cut,
yeah. But when I woke up, I found that they had cut me open. When I asked, and he was not supposed to remove the fibroids, but he had removed the fibroids and taken care of the cyst. And I asked the doctor, you said if you take out the fibroids, they will come back in multiple. He said, yeah, but I've seen they were so big and they would disturb you in future. So I decided to remove them.
The same doctor you were saying?
No, this is another now second opinion. The one now has operated on me. And now I'm asking him, what about my tubes? What did you see? He told me, your left tube is open. You can conceive with that. You don't need to. But your right is so blocked, you cannot even see it. It's buried in small intestines. It did not worry me because he has told me I have one which is open. And then he told me, though you have one more problem. And I asked him, which one? You have severe endometriosis. This is another problem that has come in. I don't even know what it is. And at this time now, my husband, we are not... It's like we are just separating slowly. Now I need medicine to control this pain from endometriosis. And endometriosis is a condition which, when you are having your periods, the lining of your uterus is shedding blood, and at the same time, your ovaries are also doing the same. That is why you even have painful menses. Now that is what is called endometriosis, scarring tissue. I had many. After that treatment and that surgery, now my husband, we had separated totally. I gave up. I even let him go. So last year, when I fast forward, last year I was going to, God was merciful. He gave me a job. And immediately we separated with my husband. Everything that I had, it all got, I just sold and I moved to a smaller house. And it was a tough time because I was married, I had a big house, I have been left, I don't have a baby. What am I going to do? People are not understanding me. The church that I'm going, I even stopped going because when I go and see my fellow women, the one that are already married, they have kids. I don't have a child. So I will just even leave the church before it's over.
Hold that thought, Irene. Our viewers will take a break, and then after our sponsors take us through their products, you're going to come back. So welcome back, our viewer. Again, my guest is Irene Wambua. Wow, that must have been tough.
Yes, it was.
So tell us more about the baby mama and your husband. Did they ever tell you it's over, or you just had to make up your mind?
The baby mama gave me a lot of problems, to be honest. She really made me suffer. She would call, she would text, and that threatened my marriage a lot. And my husband too was even now tired because I was not conceiving.
And of course
and
you
now,
were very depressed.
Exactly. I was even suicidal at one point because there's a time my husband told me he just doesn't want me, he just wants me to go. You see, now he has the love of his baby. He's feeling very happy. So it did not matter at that time. And I understood him. So we ended up separating. But now last year when I was going to work, one morning the pain had resumed after my first surgery. So this time I wake up in the morning, I take 3 different types of painkillers to sustain my pain so that I can go to work. This time I'm waking up, I take my painkillers as usual, it's not working.
So this is after how long?
After
your
2
surgery?
more years.
So there is a time you had a break from pain?
Yes.
Okay.
No, only like 3 months after my first surgery. Now I started feeling small pain. Now it got worse last year.
Okay.
Yes. Now when I'm in the matatu, I started sweating. I'm not understanding, and then I feel dizzy. Within a very short time before the matatu even took off for like 10 minutes, I collapsed. Now this is what happened from what I came to realize. One lady took my phone from my handbag and the vehicle stopped. It was a bus. Then she dialed the last number. Something happened, I had not locked the phone. And she got hold of my niece and she told her, there's a lady who has collapsed in the matatu and she seems like she's going to work. Do you know her? Then my niece confirmed, yeah, she's my auntie. After a very long struggle, now the passengers were alighted from the bus and it reversed to look for a hospital for me.
Wow, that was so kind.
Yeah, and they had to wait until a member of our family, my family, came to release them. When I woke up in the hospital and opened my eyes, I saw my in-law, the pastor, and my brother-in-law, and they came in. He was carrying, I think, his Bible, and I did not understand what is happening. I was going to work. I even thought I'm dreaming, so I even slept again. But then I start feeling pain. Now when I opened my eyes again, I saw doctors surrounding me. Then the pain started, and I remembered I was in the bus and I was feeling pain, and yes, I'm in a hospital. How I got to the hospital, I did not know. So I started screaming. That pain, I would just scream automatically. I would crawl, stand on that bed, roll. My brother-in-law would pray for me. He would pray.
The brother-in-law now is a brother to your husband? Or
no,
to who?
He has married my sister.
Okay.
He is a pastor. He really prayed for me with the other in-law, husband to my sister too.
Okay.
After scan and a lot of tests, now I was told, take water, you need to see, because they saw I had a surgery wound. When I went in to have another scan to see what is the problem, but you know me, I was removed the fibroids. I know I'm fine. Now this radiologist, while he's scanning me, he asks me, Irene, uko na watoto? Hapana. Si uende utolewe hii uterasi yako, iache kukusumbua. Nikamuuliza, why? You have a lot of fibroids. Hii kitu inakaa vibaya. Hii kitu ende utolewe. Even he is calling it kitu. Now I am asking him, how many fibroids can you see? At this time, I even now opened my eyes and I saw, wow, it's not true. He told me there are many. I cannot count them, but the biggest is around 4 centimeters. The other ones are very small. This one you have to remove. Before I even swallowed that information, he told me, do you know you also have an ovarian cyst?
Another one.
Another one. And I told him, I had a surgery and I was removed that one from my right side. Has it come back? I was told they don't recur. He told me this time it's on your left ovary and it is quite big. Actually, I think it's the one that is causing pain for you. Fast forward, I found myself being wheeled again to theater. After I got those results, I'm telling my brother-in-law, I really don't want to have another operation. And he told me, don't worry, I will pray for you, you will be fine. He just encouraged me, but deep down, I was sad because I have lost a marriage. I have gone through first surgery. Now I'm doing this again. And this, oh God, it was bad. When I went for that surgery and came out, now after the theater, it took a lot of time because I went at around noon and I was coming out. I woke up at 8 at night and I could not even open my eyes. But I had my friend calling me, Irene, and she held my fingers like this. And I was very happy to hear a voice that was not a doctor's or a nurse. I did not even want to let go of her hand. Now when I woke up fully the following morning, the first thing I saw on the locker was my lunch that I had carried. And I was so sad. I said, this lunch I was supposed to eat yesterday, I did not know I would wake up in the hospital the following day with my lunch still there. Fast forward, I started healing and now it was time to be discharged. Now I'm feeling, at least I'm fine. The fibroids have been removed and the cyst has been taken care of. Now I'm asking, the doctor is now coming to release me, the one that has operated on me. And now he asked me, Irene, how do you feel right now? I told him, I'm very fine, I don't feel the pain. Yes, it's because you had a very big cyst that you removed. It was even, I had rolled no coiling, that's why you were crying in pain and it was dangerous. I said, thank you. So how did you remove the fibroids? I had been told they are many. Now he told me, I need you to go home and come back when you're strong so that I can tell you. I told him, no, just tell me. He said, are you okay? Yeah. I did not touch any of your fibroid. Why? They are very many. I need you to listen to me. I'm a doctor, but I believe there is a God. Now I even sat down on that bed and you know you have a wound. And I looked at him. I need you to go home, eat very well for at least 6 months, and then you come back and I remove your uterus.
Hey.
Because with the kind of uterus that you have, you can never conceive. If you are me and you are told that, what would you do?
And you still have a fresh wound.
The wound is there, it's not healed. I'm being told now this is another surgery that I'm supposed to go in.
So even your husband never came?
We had separated at that
So
time.
you didn't have to inform him?
No, I did not have to.
Okay.
Now, when he told me so, he told me, you told me you had another surgery. I said, yeah. What I found out is that you don't have your right ovary and fallopian tube. Now this is another shock. Why would I not have my right ovary? I was told it was a cyst that was removed. You remember that doctor telling me we cannot see your right ovary, it's so blocked. When he removed the cyst, he removed together with my ovary and the fallopian tube. There are doctors who don't know how to remove it, I think so. So or there are others that remove and they even sell. So this one removed my right ovary, right fallopian tube, and they lied to me. They did not tell me the truth. Now that is one thing that is still on my mind. And then I'm being told to remove my uterus, and then he's telling me, you have severe endometriosis, the same thing. You can never, believe me, with the uterus you have, you can never conceive. But whoever operated on you, I don't know them, you don't have your right ovary. But your left is intact. I've only removed the cyst. I just needed him to discharge me to go. And I really needed to go to my house. I just wanted to be alone at that time. And when my in-law came to pick me to go home, I was very strong. When I arrived at my gate, I even said hi to some neighbors. They did not even know I was sick. I smiled, and I was even walking straight. But the moment I opened that door and I put my handbags and the lunch that I was to eat 3 days ago, I cried any tear that would have been in my body. I cried, and I asked God, marriage done, one ovary done. No, you want to get rid of my uterus too? How? Why? What else? What else am I waiting for? I refuse to have that uterus removed. I have gone to pastors. And anybody that I know knows God, I tell them, pray for me. Now this year, the pain started again. Thank you. This year the pain started again. I went to the hospital. I took myself to the hospital this time. I was alone.
Was the pain as bad as it was before?
Yes. So now I knew, now it's now or never. And I told the doctors, I am back and I'm ready.
The same doctor?
Yeah.
That is after how long?
That is after 6 months. I was operated last year, September. So this year, March, I was back to the hospital. The doctor did not even need me to explain more. He looked at me. They saw how I was. I was first. I had to be admitted for 1 week to be treated infections and to look for blood because I had no blood. Now at this time, I communicated with my family. They did not believe. Everybody was in a panic mode.
They were not aware of your condition?
They were aware, but you see, when you tell your loved ones, you are about to lose your uterus, okay, they tell you, do not. Okay. Do not dare. Don't do it. Wake up and go. One of the pastor told me he needed me to take faith and to believe in God and that we would look for a solution. But you see, at this time,
you're in so much pain
that I was feeling, no one would understand me at that time. It was a panic in my family. Even at one point, I was being told to wake up and just get discharged and go. But then I remember the pain
again. And it's excruciating pain.
Now if you see a woman, after 10 years, taking herself to the hospital and she's ready to get rid of something like a uterus, it's not a joke. That person is suffering. Now, I was admitted for 1 week, and now I was supposed to go to theatre the following week on a Monday.
So they had to look for blood?
Yes.
Okay.
So now this morning, before that, I called 2 of my pastor's friends, and they really prayed for me in the ward. And I told them, you see now I'm scared. There was the first surgery, the second. And this third one,
and the news is getting worse and worse.
Yeah. And the third one, everybody is against it. Could it be a sign maybe I will not come out? Hey, it really scared me. You know, at this time, I needed not to panic. I needed them to encourage.
So they were telling you that you shouldn't have your uterus removed. You walk out. What about the pain?
Now they needed me to go and look for another opinion. But I had looked for opinions. I was tired.
I know.
I was just
tired. But the back of your mind, you know, I don't even have one ovary after all.
No,
I don't have a husband.
I don't even have that ovary. But before going, I had another ultrasound scan just to confirm. And they were confirmed. Actually, they were getting bigger. They were many. The pain I was in, I could not continue. I just gave up.
So what did they tell you was making the fibroids grow at that rate?
The doctor does not know. They don't, up to date, gynecologists have researched for this thing, but in every 10 women, at least 2 have fibroids nowadays. I don't know what happens, but it's something that is disturbing women. That morning when I went for theatre, I was begging God that I come out and I don't die. Now, I went in the theatre and it was very cold. It was a very cold morning. And the nurse who was helping me and nursing me to the bed, I looked at her when she was leaving that room and I really felt like telling her, please don't go, stay here. When I sat at that bed, my life flashed in a second. I saw myself as a small baby when my mother took me to school. I saw myself when I finished Form 4, when I went to college and finished, when I got married, when my husband left, when I had the first surgery, the second, and now this is the third, and I'm seated on that bed in a theatre again, the third time. What more, God, please? And now I started crying. I told God, please forgive me my sins. If I have hurt you, remove this problem out of my life. Do a miracle. Let me come out with my uterus. Do something. I really cried. And now the doctor had to calm me down to get operated.
You will hold that thought, and then our viewer will come back to hear the rest of the story. Continue with the rest of the story.
Now, this surgery, before I was told I was to be operated, the first person.
So the doctor had to calm you down. That's where we were at. Mm-hmm.
Now I could not calm down. My pressure was rising. I was shaking so much. My heart was beating. And I even told them, I don't want to sleep. Give me that injection that you give pregnant women so that I don't sleep. I just look at you. They all looked at each other, the anesthetist, the doctor, and 2 nurses. I wondered why they are looking at each other. They said, okay, let's try. They injected me. It did not work. I was being told, move. I move. They had to beg me to sleep, literally beg me, Irene, you'll be fine. Trust. The anesthetist told me, you're going, it's me and you. I'll make sure you wake up. And I agreed. How I sleep.
So at this time, did they tell you what they wanted to do, or? We
had discussed with the doctor, and we did not have another discussion that morning because he had around 6 CS, and it was the same doctor who was to operate on me. And I had been told I would be operated the first person, because he even made a comment like, can you set up that thing before my shoulders? get tired. I thought that was awkward. Now this time when I woke up in my room, previously when you have a surgery and you are out of theater, you don't even wake up. You cannot even open your eyes because the medicine is still intact. But this time, I am waking up immediately. I can feel myself. I can feel anything. But the pain I was in, it was unimaginable. It's a kind of pain I would not even wish on my worst enemy.
Yeah, after the surgery?
Yes. Now I am screaming in the ward and calling out for nurses. Nurse, they are not coming. I cry, uchungu. And you know, you are out of theater. You cannot even move. So
you can't even shout as loud as you want.
But I'm shouting so much. Now the person I had a friend who was with me, who I told to come and wait for me after I leave theater. And he's a guy, a young guy. I told him, I would feel him holding my hands because I was so violent. And he was telling me, Irene, rudi kwa bed utaanguka. And I'm screaming even more. I'm beating him. The nurses came. They injected me. It did not work. I actually don't know if they had injected me. But every time the nurse would come, I tell them, I'm still in pain. Inject me, do something. I have never felt pain when I leave theater. This time I'm feeling pain. You see, number one, there is no family member around. Because when you have a family member, the nurses treat you with a lot of care. For me, they have seen me being admitted for a week plus with no one. So they were doing what they want.
Why didn't you call your family?
My family was
not for the idea, I guess.
Yes, and they were not around. But we were with them in thought, especially my mom, who I did not want to worry, and my dad. They had given me their blessing, but no any other person managed to be around, apart from this boy that I called. Now, one time, I opened my eyes. The boy has run out to call nurses round 2. Do you know why? I managed to pull that blanket out of me, and I looked at myself. I just saw blood. I never saw blood in my life being on my clothes like that. I closed my eyes immediately because I was scared. Now I started feeling the pain. I would knock the walls and call the nurses. This boy, he has gone to call the nurse, and he is even telling me, I'm not leaving you. Come, let's go. Irene is crying in pain. These nurses, when they came, you see now the boy had to be told to stand outside so that they can check me and change my gown. One nurse made sure he has left. Why? He told the friend, and they were the same nurses I was with them in theater. So he told the other nurse, mshike miguu. That nurse has held my legs, and now she held my hands. I was like this. They threw me like that so that I can face upwards. You see, I was like this. So that the moment they overturned me very cruelly to face upwards so that they can check me, it was so painful because of the cut. I even looked at them, and they lifted the gown. I saw the bandage. It was just bloody. I looked at them without talking. I was numb. And one was telling me, Irene, unatusumbua sana. Unyamaze na uachane na hizo drama zako. Tumesha kudunga dawa. Unyamaze, ulale na uache kutusumbua. Ungoje tu uchungu iende. Wewe si wewe wa kwanza unasema uchungu hapo. Utatusumbua mpaka saa ngapi? Now they're holding my legs and spreading them because the catheter had even been loose, because you see the moment I'm rolling in pain. Now she started forcing it by force. I'm trying to scream. I say, she's forcing it and tells me, shut up, because she doesn't care. I am alone after all. Who will I complain to? She tells the other nurse, ebu angalia kama imeingia vizuri. I discovered there was something else they were forcing, inserting inside me by force. And I was thinking later, could it have been a tampoo or what? I think those that don't use pads, there's something else you use. But when it fills up with blood, it starts now getting bigger. Now when it is getting bigger, remember your uterus has been removed. And that is a wound. Now the moment it's just imagine somewhere that has been, it's a wound. What pain can you feel? A lot of pain. And instead of removing it, they were forcing it. But my mind told me to be cool until they leave. When they left, I stretched my hand and I held that thing and I pushed it out. And the moment it fell, the pain reduced so much and I was like, what was this? And now it was so bloody. And by this time it was around night. The person I was with had to go back home because he cannot be at the ward at that time. Now I'm being left there on my own at night. I even had the boy tell them, can I stay with her for the whole night? Neza mkalisha tu usiku asianguke. Or they told him, no, you just go. When you go to theater, you're not supposed to take water. But there was a bottle of water there. I needed him to go and the nurses to go so that I take that water. Someone told me if you take that water, you can even die. I needed to get hold of that water. So I tried stretching my hand, but I could not reach the water. Now the pain started. I even removed the needle, the drip. I threw them. And I now started talking to God. And I told God, I know I have tried to conceive for 10 years. Nothing happened. I also know I have been going to hospital. Every time I go, I come out with more sad news. This time I'm here to ask you to forgive me my sins and take my life. I know I begged you to leave when I was going in theater. But right now, believe me, just take me. I want to die. Because even the pain I'm in, I just want to die. If I had been given an option to die that day, I would have taken it. But the two pastors came. These people prayed. They were praying until every word would go silent. They prayed for me. When they left, I could not. Now I went into sleep. Prayer works sometimes.
It works all the time.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
It does.
I stayed in that hospital for around 4 weeks. And the doctor, before I left the hospital, that day, the following day, actually the same day when I left theater, the nurse came with my uterus. It was on a plate or something. And I could hear her showing those two pastors, asking them, who are you to her? Are you her relatives? Because we cannot throw a body organ before a relative checks it. So they just had to say, yeah, we are relatives and this one is, I'm her pastor. You can show it to us. I could not imagine my uterus being showed, but I immediately just ignored that. And it was put inside my locker. Now the following day, I am just there and I know my uterus is there. Now I'm asking myself, should I look at it?
Why are they putting it on the locker?
Until I see it. They cannot throw it until I see my organ. Believe me, I saw it and I could not understand anything because I just saw things that were just, it was bad.
Was it preserved?
No, it was just there.
It was
and
dry.
Actually, it was getting dry and smelling. I stayed with that uterus inside that locker for 2 days. It was smelling. Have you ever smelled a rat that has died? Now I'm telling these nurses.
What hospital is this?
I cannot mention it.
It's a public hospital?
No, it's a private. But when the doctor came in, he told me, we removed your uterus, Irene. How are you feeling? Of course, I'm not feeling good. How can you ask me what I'm feeling? I said I'm okay. And now he started asking me, would you like me to look for a hospital counselor for you? I said, no, I'm fine.
And nobody is even detecting there's a foul smell from your room?
No. The nurses were just ignorant. I don't know if because
why don't you
I was
mention it?
alone.
No,
or
it's not being
something
alone.
Like that.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think if it's a private hospital, they should do better.
It's a private hospital.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you are that discreet, you don't want to expose them.
I have even forgiven them. I even forgave the one who removed my ovary and lied to me.
It was still in the same time?
No, it was in another facility.
Okay.
And it is a hospital that has been talked much about. I did not know it was true.
Okay.
So now the doctor that was day 2. He told me how he removed the uterus. It was very hard removing it because he had to really pluck it out of me, and it took him a lot of time. Because the fibroids were so stuck, it was just hard for him. He had to take a lot of time, and he told me maybe that's why you were in a lot of pain.
So even when you complained that you had pain, they never called your doctor?
The doctor came, and I even told the doctor, I want you to discharge me. But you see, this is not the doctor who was... When they operate on you, the doctors leave.
Yes,
you are left with the nurses
and
the doctor, the clinician who is around. Yeah. I told the clinician, if you don't want to inject me painkillers, refer me to another hospital. They refused. I really suffered. That I will never forget that day. It was 22nd March, and the pain I felt that day, the pain of losing your uterus had to come with now the physical pain. It was bad. It was very bad. Mm-hmm.
But you forgiven them?
I forgave them. And I even loved those 2 nurses who were quarreling me when my friend was leaving the room. Now, you see...
Saying you are causing drama.
Yeah, I forgave them. This is the painting problem now. The doctor has told me he has removed the uterus, and he asks me, would you like me to call a hospital counselor for you? I told him, no, I'm fine. Okay, we removed the uterus together with the cervix, but that does not mean you are not a woman. You see, you still have your left ovary, but it has cysts that are growing. The same cysts that I've been fighting. And remember last year I was removed a cyst. And I told the doctor, I came to this hospital and I agreed to remove my uterus so that I can rest from these problems. Why did you not remove the cysts? He said because they are insignificant, meaning they are not big enough to be removed. What we can do is manage you with painkillers and pray to God that they don't get big and give you another problem. Number 2, I did not remove your ovary because if I do, you will go to total, complete menopause symptoms. Right now, you will be experiencing some of these symptoms of menopause. He tried to explain, but I could not hear anything. The only word that kept ringing on my mind was the word menopause. And I never knew at age 32 I would mention the word menopause. The word menopause would be mentioned on me. Hi, it was tough. So he told me that ovary would moderate. He could not remove it. But with the cysts that are painting, if they get big, only God knows what will happen. But because I'm a believer, I keep praying every day that those cysts do not come up. Now, when I was leaving the hospital, I had to get the additional blood. And don't forget, I'm alone. I don't have food, the soft food that I need. I have one. I will teach this boy to make for me porridge through WhatsApp and bring for me in the hospital. And when I was leaving, I needed, but my mom came after 2 days. Sick as she was, she managed to come. And when she came, I had to put a very strong face and smile and show her I'm fine. But when she would leave, I would cry so much. And I had to be strong so that she can leave and go home, so that she doesn't worry too much about me. Now, this time, now I needed to be discharged, and now I was bleeding, which is so abnormal.
Yeah, because you don't have a uterus.
Yeah, not supposed to bleed at all. This morning, this doctor, the same one who operated on me, comes and tells the nurse to prepare me so that he can check me.
Wow.
I did not understand what he meant by check. I understood 48 minutes later when I was in another bed, spreading my legs. And now with these things that they use, the first one is for opening you. And remember, you are, it's a fresh place that has no uterus. And these things is being inserted inside you. No, to make you open, make you start open.
Wow.
And now it takes another thing and puts a cotton wool so that it can push it inside to see why am I bleeding. Before he even inserted that one, I was screaming in pain, and they told me, you know, we are not begging you. If you don't want, you can wake up and go home. I have a lot of things to do. Now the nurse I was with told me, Irene, just wacha tu akumalizie, jipatie mtu nguvu umaliziwe. I closed my eyes, and there, he puts that cotton wool, he removes it, he checks, he does this and that, but I cannot see anything. And remember that time, I was just saying, oh my God, oh my God,
couldn't
oh my
even
God.
have done some
I could not even
numbing.
I was just saying, and nothing. Just him and his hands and those tools. I just called God, 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 until he finished. I stood up, standing and pleading. Now I go back to the ward and I needed to be discharged. He told me since he has not seen anything, I go for an ultrasound. When he did that ultrasound, he says, you are bleeding from inside, but go home and let's see if that bleeding will stop.
And you still don't disclose what that hospital. Thank you for being nice. But they were not kind to you.
They were not. Because
the ultrasound should have been the first thing they should have done.
Before even that unnecessary pain of looking at me. And this is the best part. It tells me if that bleeding does not stop, we will have to operate you again. I just cut you open again. I stitch where the blood is coming, and then you just go. There is no way I can help you.
So fast forward because of time. Yeah. Where are you at right now?
Right now, I'm getting better, apart from the pains that I'm feeling from now and then that I was told I'm bleeding from inside. I need to be stitched again. We prayed with my pastor. I stopped bleeding, and I believe I'm going to be fine. And I also refuse to see that I have cysts. I refuse. I don't have cysts. I am fine, but only the pains that I'm moderating. And now when I'm talking, I decided to talk because I'm accepting. Every time I talk, I am accepting myself, and maybe I'm encouraging someone who feels they have seen it all. Maybe when you hear my story, you'll even get courage with your situation and keep pushing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Our viewer, that's a story of Irene Wambua. It's a sad story, but we thank God because she's bold enough to share it to the glory of God. And we're also in agreement with you that God will take you through, even the pain that is remaining and the cyst, that God will give you victory. From us is God bless you and bye-bye.